Hello, everyone. Good morning. I hope everyone is well. And thank you so much for being here. But I just want to say that I had some problems with my camera this morning, but I fixed it. And sorry for the delay. Um, but thank God it's working and everything is fine, hopefully. So, today we are going to talk about friendship and the value of a friend. And before we start, let's just do our initial prayer. Actually, before even that, my name is Samanta Alves. I am one of the volunteers here in the Spiritist Center of Ireland. I'm based in Dublin, where the Spiritist of Ireland, the Spiritist Society of Ireland is located, and I'm broadcasting from here today. So thank you so much for being with us this morning. So before we start, let's do our initial prayer. If you can or want to close your eyes, please do. Let's raise our thoughts to Jesus. Let's calm down. Let's thank for this morning. Let's thank for our lives, for the opportunity to be here learning, not only in this session, but also throughout our life or our existence. Let's ask for the spiritual friends and our mentors to help us this morning, to enlighten us so we can understand their teachings, the God's teachings. And let's thank for our lives. So be it. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so guys, if you have any problems, if you're for some reason you're not seeing my screen or if something is happening, just please let me know and I'll find a way to fix it here. So hopefully everything will be fine. And also, if you have any questions or if there's any comments you want to make, please feel free to type them here. We'll look at the comments during the presentation. So please do, and we can have a conversation. Maybe if you want to make your comments. So as I said, we are going to talk about friendship, the value of a friend. And I want to start with this passage from the Spiritist magazine of June 1863. So there's an article called Spiritist Dissertations, Friendship and Prayer by Allan Kardec. And it says, in creating souls, God made no difference between them. May this equal right between them serve as a principle of friendship that nothing else is but unity in tendencies and feelings. True friendship exists only among virtuous men who come together under the protection of the Almighty to encourage one another in the performance of their duties. Every truly Christian heart has a feeling of friendship. On the contrary, this virtue finds in the selfishness of vicious souls the choice that, like the seed fallen on the arid rock, makes it unfruitful for good. So basically, we all have friendship within us. We have this ability to become friend or to have a friend, to accept a friend, or to interact with a friend. And it's almost like a necessity as well, not only an ability, but also a necessity. As human beings, we want to have friends, but as spirits as well, we have friends, we are united, and we'll see how it works during the call. Sorry, during the presentation, and I'm going to use mainly the Spirit's book because I found some questions that could help us understand the principles and understand um, the why we have it, how it works, the interactions we have, all of that. So, um, in childhood and youth states, friendship is more spontaneous because malice and unhealthy habits have not yet established themselves, allowing natural coexistence and sincere relationship. In the feeling, if the feeling is preserved in the adult period, the emotions of well-being, harmony, and self-confidence multiply, achieving significant benefits for the social group in which they move. So, in the book, What is Spiritism? Chapter 3, question 125, Allan Kardec asks, what is the cause of the sympathies and antipathies that are manifested among people who see each other for the first time? And the answer from the spirits, there are almost always beings that have met and sometimes loved each other in previous existence, and that beings in this one, and that being in this one are attracted to each other. Instinctive antipathies also often come from previous relationships. These true feelings can also have another cause. The perispirit irradiates around the body, forming a kind of atmosphere impregnated with the good or bad qualities of the incarnated spirit. Two people who meet experience through the contact of these fluids the sensitive impression that can be pleasant or unpleasant. Fluids tend to become confused or repel depending on their similar or dissimilar nature. This is how the phenomenon of thought transmission can be explained by the contact of these fluids. Two souls somehow read each other. They guess and understand without speaking. Also, in the book O Consolador, what would be the consoler in English, in question 173 by Spirit Eternal, psychographed by Chico Xavier. There's a question. So this question says, how should we understand sympathy and antipathy? Sympathy or antipathy has its roots deep in the spirit, in the subtle intermingling of the fluids peculiar to each other, and almost always, in general, attest to a renewal of sensation experienced by the creature from the past in equal circumstances. So we see here in these two questions that we have friends from other lives, friends and, well, sympathies and antipathies that we kind of build in other lives, and we bring this feeling with us. But we also have the new, if we can say like that, the new friends. We make new friends in this life. So the basically sometimes in those who have developed the bond of friendship, they are already fixed in the heart as an effect of previously experienced behaviors. But it is important to note, as I mentioned, that we also create these bonds in the present with consequences for the future as well. So I recently gave a talk about thought, and I explained how powerful our thoughts are and what they can create. It's basically a creating force. So our thoughts create a lot in our life, and creates um, situations or creates scenarios for the future so we can change our lives by the power of our thoughts. And also, Vanderlei last week also explored about how thoughts work and the importance of being aware of it. If you guys want to see um, those two talks, it's on our Facebook page. So now, in exploring our friendships, we find in the Gospel of the Humble, chapter 7, Eliseu Rigonati, he writes, so there's a passage there where he writes, our true friends are those who sincerely point out our own mistakes and induce us to correct them. When the Father's mercy puts one of these true friends in our path, let us not allow self-love to make us deaf to their thoughts, but let us pray fervently that humility will open our ears to the voices of these providential friends. And also, according to the Spirit Emmanuel, in the book Faith and Life, chapter 25, um, this chapter is titled Among Friends, and this book was psychographed by Chico Xavier. And there's a passage there as well. A friend is someone who deserves full trust, someone who is more like an unfolding of yourself. However, he's also someone who can give you a big headache tomorrow or cause you huge damage, through whom divine providence wants you to learn to love and forgive. So we are not perfect yet, right? So we have our imperfections, or we make mistakes, and we also, even though we love our friends, we sometimes make mistakes because we are not perfect. And in this relationship, we can have um, built, let's say, this ideal um, type of friendship that we want to have. And if this person um, does not manifest this, we become really annoyed, or we think that this person is not our friend. So we do not admit that ambivalent feelings such as admiration and envy, esteem and competition, affection and pride can coexist among friends. However, in order for us to have a greater understanding of friendship, it is necessary to analyze the depth of human intimacy. Nature gives man the need of love and beloved. One of the greatest joys you are granted on earth is to find hearts that sympathize with you. In a way, we believe that loyal friends are only those who share the same tastes, trends, enthusiasms, and ideas or ideals, that they should always be at our disposal, agree with everything that we think and need, and that they should never have conflicting feelings. If we really nurture this belief that true friends are those who are modeled on our perfect mythic idealism, we may be living fundamentally under an unreal consistency regarding friendship. The growth of our relationships with others depends on our ability not to exceed the limiting possibilities of each one, and to obtain an understanding of the restrictions of freedom and availability of friends, being almost always aware of the connections we make with our emotion daydreams. In general, we do not admit that ambivalent feelings such as admiration and envy, esteem and competition, as I mentioned, um, affection and pride can coexist among friends. Radically different or even opposite emotions are innate in human beings at the evolutionary stage in which we find ourselves. So many had a fantasy education of the type and lived happily ever after. And when faced with human reality, they are deeply shocked to find that they have ambivalence of feelings, also identifying them similarly in the most important figures of their life. Every being on earth is learning to use his feelings and emotions consistently. We cannot escape this truth. Our inner vision needs to move like a pendulum in order to avoid unilateral issues that prevent us from seeing the whole. Wisdom translates into the ability to recognize or the ability to see the whole of life in complete balance. Living in polarity does not allow us to understand the diversity of feelings and emotions that we all experience. We need to acquire an intuitive perception in order not to analyze everything as absolute. Every correct assessment uses criteria with a certain relativity and is linked to the circumstances of the moment and not exclusively to the facts themselves. This duality of opposite between right, wrong engages us more and more in polarity, preventing us from understanding that each part contains the whole. We are one with life. So, in the Spirit's Book, question 297, Allan Kardec says, does the affection that two beings had for each other on earth always continue in the spirit world? Yes, of course, if it is based on true sympathy. However, if physical attraction has had more influence than sympathy, it will cease with the cause. Affections among spirits are more solid and lasting than on earth because they are not subject to the whims of material interests and self-centeredness. So often when the love of sensuality erupts in the individual, fascinated by the transient pleasure, the ardent search is easy to consume because it lacks the powerful nourishment of friendship that maintains and preserves any type of relationships. These disturbing passions are the result of loneliness or of existential emptiness, which must be preventively cared for in the domestic nest through the awakening of friendship without a whole. By planting the seeds of tolerance and good understanding in the infancy, they are fixed at the heart of affective memory and continue throughout existence, multiplying into seasonal fruits, which will resurface in future happy reincarnation experience. So friendship is expressed in a different way, or in different ways. So, for example, in conjugal unions, when the interests of sexual libido fade, this noble feeling stays, presenting and maintaining beauty and meaning to the relationship. So, I brought a story as an example. An old husband is at the doctor doing tests when he looks at his watch distressfully and asks the doctor to finish the analysis. Asked why he was in a hurry, he explains that every Thursday, at that specific time, he visits his wife, who is in a rest home. She had been suffering from Alzheimer's disease for 5 years and had completely lost consciousness. He tries to be by her side, talks, reads for her, narrating the events of the week. The doctor, surprised, interrupted him, informing him that since she no longer had the use of reason, she would not know if he visited her or not. So there was no need for the hurry. Smiling and cheerful, the husband replied, well, she does not know if I went to visit her or not, but I do. So Friendship is almost like a responsibility um, that we have towards one another. And also, it helped, even like in this case, for example, this lady had Alzheimer's, but I'm sure she'll feel when he's there, she'll feel his presence, she'll feel his love. And that's the most important thing. So, we are going to talk about as well today about um, sometimes the person receiving our friendship doesn't necessarily receive it the way we would like it to be, um, but it doesn't really matter. What matters is that we do it, and it matters to us. So, continue. In the book, in the Spirit's book, question 386, Allan Kardec asks, could two individuals who have already known and loved each other meet in another corporeal existence and recognize each other? Recognize each other? No. Feel attracted to each other? Yes. Frequently, intimate connections founded on sincere affection arise from no other cause. Two individuals are drawn together by apparently fortuitous circumstances, but it's actually the result of the attraction of two spirits who have been searching for each other amidst the crowds. I love this passage. I think it's so beautiful. Um, we have these sympathies with some spirits that we shared some experiences in the past. And as I said, we create the sympathies as well. It's important to state that we create the sympathies because we want to create more and more of those. So, when you meet someone that you feel free to talk to almost about anything, or to whom you can be your own self without restrictions, when it happens, like you knew this person for your whole life. This is what this question explains. In fact, in order to have real intimacy and gain full trust between friends, it is necessary to never hide what is unpleasant in us. In other words, it is necessary to reveal our fallibility, wanting to demonstrate impeccable character and freedom from doubts is characteristic of individuals unable to forgive and unable to maintain long-lasting relationships and true affection. The Roman Cicero, in his famous literary essays on friendship, recorded the following: is there anything sweeter than having someone with whom you can talk about all your things as if talking to yourself? So it is really good to have this type of bond. So among friends, there is no limit to confidences because the main virtue that unites them is sincerity. Good friends um, will have this intention and that sincerity demonstrated in the friendship because it comes from their heart. So in the Spirit's book, question 417, Allan Kardec asks, can a certain number of incarnate spirits meet and form a gathering? Of course, the bonds of friendship, old or new, frequently reunite a number of spirits who feel happy at being together. The word old refers to the ties of friendship contracted in previous existences. Upon awakening, we bring back an intuition of the ideas we have acquired during such concealed colloquies, even though their source appears unknown to us. Um, so also in the home, especially, friendship is a key factor for the union between the various members, providing confidence, and general stability. In the family, it is essential for harmony to reign. Biological bonds provides better development of friendship due to coexistence of superior interests in favor of the group. Devoid of superior feelings, animals, for example, show friendship and trust in those who care for and preserve them, becoming exceptional friends who sacrifice themselves when necessary on instinct and in almost embryonic intelligence to save their protectors. Evolving from the animal to human kingdom, friendship is the first step towards building um, the sublime feeling of love. It constitutes training for the deepest bonds we love, or when love provides the intimacy that unfolds in the constitution of the family. Without friendship, human existence perishes, and in the family constellation, when it does not exist, it opens a significant gap between its members. When friendship is experienced in the family, it very easily expands in relation to other people outside of this biological circle, favoring the enrichment of existence, stimulating work for the benefit of all, expanding. It reaches other individuals and allows them to have the same thoughts, which communicate naturally, favoring those who manage to preserve the excellent feeling with joy. It is a fuel that sustains the light of evolution, warming the heart and straightening emotions. In the Spirit's book again, question 300, Allan Kardec asks, when two perfectly sympathetic spirits are united, will they remain so throughout eternity, or can they separate and unite with other spirits? All spirits are mutually united. I am referring to those who have already reached perfection, of course. In less evolved spheres, after spirit has improved itself, it no longer has the same sympathy for those whom it has left behind. So we are integrally connected to people and all of the forms of life in the universe. Exemplifying this in Matthew 25:50, Jesus Christ emphasized, truly I say to you, when you did it to one of these, my little brothers, you did it to me. So it shows this unity. But in the moment that we are in our stage of evolution, we are still learning and we are still, well, we can still have some difficulties, but we will develop it through time. Sorry, my throat these days is not so well. I'm speaking too much, having too many calls. Sorry. So the man at heart, they perfectly understands that with the experience he has with his current friends or with the friends who have gone, he can offer important connections to broaden the horizons of self-knowledge. From there, he is able to discern the variety of category of friends, because we have different category of friends, or we kind of have a friend for each situation, if we can say like that. So there are friends of usual activities. They have a restricted relationship. They meet only for religious services or leisure or sports days, during work hours, or on courses or various events. Others exist qualified as friends for reciprocal advantages. They are united by the professions they exercise. They promote societies of common interest and with special goals. So they play roles and specialized trades together. The so-called different decades, friends, are all those linked by enormous affinities of past lives, which not even the great age difference can separate them from daily living. They acquire a loving and true intimacy, which allows the exchange of experiences. And also, another category to be considered is that of the so called itinerant or transitory friends. They cross our lives during a certain stage. They share a friendship at crucial times, um, and at other times, in search of learning, they pass by us at the crossroads of the earthly path and then disconnect because the common links that kept them with us have disappeared. In the course of time, each of them follows the path that they have set out towards their own destiny. However, those recognized as close or permanent friends are those who have mutual affection and keep it indefinitely. The intimacy between them makes them grow in spiritual maturity. They widen their inner world as they increase their capacity to understand the similarities and differences between themselves. So, in the Spirit's Book, question 937, Allan Kardec asks, aren't the disappointments caused by ingratitude and by the fragility of the ties of friendships also a source of bitterness for the human heart? Yes, but we have already taught you to feel pity for ungrateful and disloyal friends. They will be unhappier than you are. Ingratitude is the child of selfishness, and selfish individuals will sooner or later encounter hearts as hard as their own. Just think of those who have done more good than you, who are more worthy than you, and who have been repaid with ingratitude. Remember that during his life, Jesus himself was scoffed at, despised, and threatened as a villain and an impostor. So do not be surprised when the same happens to you. Let the good you have done be your reward in this world, and do not worry about what those who have benefited from it say. Ingratitude serves to test your persistence in doing good. It will be credit to you, and those who have been thoughtless towards you will be punished to the same extent that they have been ungrateful. So nowadays, friendship decreases to the suspicion that builds up around relationships, which present themselves almost always aiming at immediate profits or a personality projection or vested interests. So, violence, which erupts everywhere, pushes creatures into solitude of their residential fortress, locked, guarded by sentinels, equipped by television cameras, by alarm systems. In social gatherings, in clubs and ballrooms, where fraternity seems to live, these individuals show off and analyze others more than more than they fraternize, emotionally breathing the atmosphere of appearance and suspicion without allowing mutual trust to arise. And when at times this phenomenon begins, the mental habit of considering life from the servile aspect inspires unjustifiable and disturbing behaviors. People who feel unable to maintain fraternal relationships where friendship predominates are in an egoistic stage, which they need to break free from, training gentleness in their dealings, abandoning the position of supervisor of their neighbor and manipulator in relation to all those who approach them. Those who avoid or have no friends may consider that they prefer not to be friends, remaining in morbid stages or states of conduct that lead to depression and pessimism. So we need to open our hearts. And even if um, not bad things or unwanted things happens, we still need to open our hearts because it's not possible to have true friendship if we don't. Now, moving on, in the Spirit's Book, question 938, Allan Kardec asks, couldn't the disappointments caused by ingratitude harden the heart and make it insensitive? That would be unfortunate because persons with heart, as you say, will always be happy for the good they have done. They know that if the good they have done is not remembered in the present life, it will be in another, and the ingrate will then feel shame and remorse. So, what is most important is what we do because we can't be responsible for what other people do. We can only be responsible for what we do. So it's important that regardless of what the other person does, we do good and we act according to our principles. So the man at heart who is always happy with the good he does knows that all the experiences we have with each other are important parts in the process of spiritual growth. He knows that it's not enough to simply ignore the ingratitude of others or not to hold eternal resentments. He must also evaluate and learn from his own feeling of loss or abandonment. We learn all the time from experiences. So let me just check if there's any question here. Okay, Leah, that's fine. We can always you can always rewatch. We have our talks on Facebook. So Leah is saying here that she will catch up with us later. Thank you so much for being here, Leah. Anyway, um, so let's continue. In the Spirit's Book again, question 938, Kardec reads, "But this knowledge will not prevent their heart from feeling hurt. Mightn't this lead them to think they would be happier if they were less sensitive? Yes, if they were to prefer a selfish happiness, a very sad happiness. However, if they know that the ungrateful friends who desert them are unworthy of their friendship, and that they have been mistaken about them, they will no longer regret losing them. Later on, they will find friends who are more understanding. You should pity those who treat you in a way that you do not deserve, because they will suffer a sad recompense. Do not let yourselves be affected by them. It is a means for you to raise yourselves above them. Nature has given humans the need to love and be loved. One of the greatest enjoyments granted to them on earth is their meeting with mutual attuned hearts. Nature thus grants them a foretaste of the happiness waiting for them in the world of perfected spirits, where all is love and benevolence, a happiness that is refused to the selfish. So certain circumstances arise in everyday life in which we are compelled to reformulate appraisals around the conduct of many of those we love most. In vain we look for in them old expressions of affection, since they are emotionally distant. In those days, when the face of loved ones is different, it is natural that apprehensions and questions fill our minds. Let us refrain, though, however, both from hurting them through unkind comment and from interpreting unexpected guidelines to them on account of ingratitude. We also understand that the past is an unfailable bailiff calling on us to rectify the tasks that we have left imperfectly accomplished behind in other existences. And let us reassure that modified friends, with our wishes of success and security in the execution of the new tasks for which they are directed, let us reflect that if their temporary lack brought us an expression of grief and affection, perhaps the same is true of them. And instead of reproaching their attitudes, even though they were distant or distanced by the force of circumstances, we try to or involve them in thoughts or of sympathy and confidence so that we will find ourselves later in higher levels of work and joy. In view of this, therefore, whenever their hearts no longer share harmony and coexistence, if any less happy suggestion visits our heads, let us immediately enter into prayer and in depths of the soul, praying for the Lord to enlighten our understanding so that we do not fail for them in the help of the fraternity and in support of blessing. So for this reason, Chico Xavier recommends in the book The Gospel of Chico Xavier, item 328, The Value of Friendship, written by Carlos A. Baselli. So in this item, it says, we bless those who care about us, who love us, who attend to our needs. We value the friend who helps us, who is interested in us, who writes to us, who calls us to know how we are doing. Friendship is a gift from God. We are not bothered by those who visit us often, giving us the joy of their presence in our home. Later, we will miss those who do not let us experience loneliness. So we need to make sure we see these friends and we value them. So can we get a definition of friendship? I found in the O Consolador. I don't think there's a translation of this book in English, so it would be something like the Consoler. So in question 174, and this book, as I mentioned before, was written by the Spirit Humano, psychographed by Chico Xavier. So in this question 174, it says, in the gradation of human feelings, sincere friendship is very much the oasis of rest for the walker of life on their journey of improvement. Who knows how to be a true friend, and always the emissary of bliss and peace, and listen in the ranks of Jesus' disciplines, by the natural illumination of the Spirit, who conquering the wild sympathies between the incarnate and the good entities of the invisible, knows how to radiate the vibrations of purifying feelings everywhere. To have friendship is to have a heart that loves and clarifies, that understands and forgives in the most bitter hours of our life. Jesus is the divine friend of humanity. Let us know how to understand his sublime affection, and we will transform our affective environments into a notion of perennial peace and consolation. And also in the book Moments of Hope by the Spirit, Joana de Angelis, psychographed by Divaldo Pereira Franco, there's a passage that says, friendship is the feeling that holds souls together, generating joy and well-being. Friendship is a gentle expression of the human being who needs to exchange the forces of emotion under the stimulus of fraternal understanding, inspiring courage and selfishness or selflessness, Friendship flourishes souls, blessing them with resistance to the struggles. There is a great lack of friendship in the modern world. Self Selfishness drives people away and isolates them. Friendship brings them together. Fear attacks souls and creates unhappiness. Friendship appeases and makes individuals happy. Mistrust disharmonizes lives and friendship balances minds, sweetening hearts. In the area of deep love, the presence of friendship is essential. It is born out of an expression of sympathy, and it is established with the roots of secure affection planted in the lands of the soul. So those are the definitions that I found in the spiritist literature. But we can also say that friendship is a feeling of uplift that must prevail in human beings, preparing us for great flights of love. One can even assert that friendship is a relevant achievement, a victory in relation to selfishness and its power, due to the link of one another and also to the social group in which they find themselves. It is the feeling of affection that develops with no intention in receiving any kind of gratification, giving rise to edifying and fraternal relationships. The friend is a treasure that is within reach, always willing to contribute for the benefit of the other. Friendship is responsible, it is conscious, it is kind. It does not matter how, or it does not matter much how the other receives it, but it's essential to be expressed. Ideal, no doubt, when it is reciprocal, but nevertheless being very noble when it appears in anyone. In order to remain strong, friendship needs to be sustained by kindness, that noble feeling of understanding of the shortcomings and tenderness for others. So that was all from me today. And let me see if there's any questions. Yeah, no, I don't see any questions here. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. I see a lot of messages here. So thank you very much for being here with us this morning. Um, so as we always do, before we finish, I just would like to say that if you need to talk to somebody, if you need help, there's the yourmentalhealth.ie website. In the website, you'll find advice on how to mind your mental health during the coronavirus outbreak. So you can also text them. You text YMH, which is your mental health, to the number 086 1800280. This is their messaging support services, and there's also the Irish Council of the Irish Council for Psychotherapy, and the website is psychotherapycouncil.ie. We also have the Samaritans. The website is samaritans.org. Their number is 116123. And we also have this messaging service here in Ireland, and it's I believe only for Ireland. If you can't talk for some reason, you can text them, and the number is 50808. So this is the bibliography of today. As I mentioned, I used mainly the Spirits book. A lot of questions there can help us understand friendship. And I also use some other books and this website. So also our activities, we we are still not able to go back to having our meetings in person or to have our public gatherings. So for now, we will continue to have our public meetings in the form of lives every Sunday at 11:15 a.m. to around 12:15 p.m. We also have our talk shows in the form of lives, and it's every Tuesday and Thursdays at 7:15 p.m. We have our study groups every Wednesday from 8 to 9 p.m. And if you want to participate in the study group, just send us a message. You can send us a message through Facebook or send us an email. You have our email here. It's spiritismisland@gmail.com, but you also have the email in our Facebook page. So our Facebook page is Spiritist Society of Ireland, and you'll find all the information there. And also our lives goes to to our feed. So if you want to rewatch on it, or if you want to watch some talks that you missed, you can always go back there, and you have it there. So if there isn't any more questions, I'm going to finish the talk. I thank you guys for everything again. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to do our final prayer before we finish. So if you want to close your eyes, raise your thoughts to Jesus, to our spiritual friends, to our mentors, to God. Again, let's thank them for the opportunity to be here, for our lives, but also for our friends, for our family, for our partners, for our all kinds of friends that we have. It's really good not to be alone. It's really good that we have this feeling inside us towards other people, so we can form bonds that can help us evolve, that can help us understand how to become a better spirit, how to improve ourselves towards perfection, because that's where we are going to be inevitably. So using these bonds, these connections that we develop is crucial, and we really appreciate that we have the ability to do it. We honor our friends, incarnate and discarnate. We remember and pray for them. We thank them for everything that they taught us, for their kindness, but also when they were not so kind, for all the learnings that we had from this relationship. We thank for all those that help us, that gives us a hand when we need. What would be of us if we didn't have them? So thank you so much, dear God, dear Jesus, for having us or helping us cultivate those friendships in our lives. So be it. Okay, so just before we finish, I just want to thank or give a special thanks to my friends and my families, or my family. I just want to say I'm really happy that you guys are in my life, and for everything that I learned from you. Thank you so much. So again, thank you so much for being here, everyone, and enjoy your day, enjoy your Sunday, and I'll see you next time. Bye.